chills.
Number 7. The portrait of Bernardo de Galvez hangs in the Galvez Hotel in Galveston, Texas. Both the hotel and the entire city are named after this important Spanish general who helped America gain its independence by fighting alongside American troops against the British. His military campaign took him from the state of Mississippi all the way to Florida, and he even took out a British naval base in the Bahamas. As you can imagine, this famous commander was given a lot of respect all throughout his life, and now he continues to demand it even in death. It seems as if the great general is constantly sizing people up to see if they would make a good soldier to serve in his ranks. His watchful gaze follows hotel guests as they pass by the hall. On the other hand, anyone who looks at the portrait of Bernardo de Galvez the wrong way can expect to be quickly put in their place. The general does not tolerate any insubordination and will cast a disciplinary glare that has sent shivers down the spine of many hotel visitors before. This goes double if you want to take the general's picture. Bernardo de Galvez requires that you first politely and humbly ask if it is okay to photograph him before doing so. If you don't properly obtain his permission, then the photograph never comes out correctly. This was confirmed on 2 separate occasions, first by a Houston news reporter and then by a paranormal investigator. The news reporter's camera simply locked up and refused to take the shot. When the paranormal investigator tried, all they ended up with was a blurry photo. When they took a closer look, however, it was clear that they were looking at a side profile of the general's angry skull. Before we go any further, do you think paintings can become haunted? Let me know in the comments with a simple yes or no. I didn't think so before making this video, but now my answer is yes. If you're feeling generous, please leave a like as it really helps out. Number 6. Man proposes, God disposes. The Royal Holloway is one of the most advanced learning institutions in all of the United Kingdom, training the next generation of management experts, artists, and scientists on how to become great leaders of tomorrow. These students are some of the brightest folks in the entire country, and they won't hesitate to tell you all about a cursed painting that's capable of turning their minds into mush. The painting was created by Edwin Henry Landseer, a talented artist whose animal paintings were so realistic that they attracted attention from Queen Victoria herself. In 1864, he painted his darkest piece yet. In it, 2 ferocious Arctic polar bears feast on the remains of a frozen shipwreck. One of them looks straight at the viewer while the other is busy gnashing on human bones with glee. The tattered sail of the boat rises up to form Death's shroud, and the fallen mast looks like Death's scythe. It's called Man Proposes, God Disposes, and Edwin Henry Landseer based this painting on Franklin's expedition. This was a real-life tragedy where over 100 men became trapped in the ice and died before their 2 boats could find a trade route in the Arctic. The painting has been causing academic problems for students going as far back as the 1920s. It is known to curse the entire class with bad luck, but how close you sit to it seems to matter too. Any student unlucky enough to sit right in front of it is guaranteed to fail their exams. As history shows, however, the polar bear stare can make students lose a lot more than their grade point average, like their sanity. In 1970, one student just couldn't take it anymore and demanded to sit further away from the haunted painting. The professor refused to change their seating arrangements. Only when the painting was covered with a flag would the students sit down and take their test. Ever since then, covering the painting with a flag has become a tradition every year around exam time. This story is the one that the college has no problem admitting, but there's a darker example that Royal Holloway administrators will never own up to. At one point, a student is said to have been taking their exam while sitting directly in front of the painting. They glanced up from their paper and found themselves entranced by the polar bear's savage eye. The student scribbled, "The polar bears made me do it," on the school exam and went back to their dorm room to commit suicide. Of course, Royal Holloway denies that this legend is real, but the students swear it's true, and they have no problem sharing what really happened with anyone who is willing to listen. Number 5. The Dead Mother. Edvard Munch was a famous 1800s Norwegian painter whose life was constantly plagued by tragedy. His brother, sister, and mother all passed away from tuberculosis when he was a young boy, and his religious father explained to him that their deaths came as divine punishment for their sins. This left a bleak and unhappy impression on Edvard's childhood that he carried with him throughout his adult years. The Norwegian artist is best known for painting The Scream, which shows a skeletal figure shrieking over a bridge. If you've ever seen the Scream movies before, then know that this painting is where the killer gets his mask from. But that's not Edvard Munch's only contribution to modern horror. There's another painting called The Dead Mother. It shows a small traumatized girl standing near her mother's body as she slowly succumbs to tuberculosis. Much like the figure in The Scream, the little girl faces the viewer and she grabs the sides of her head in shock. It's almost as if she is begging the audience for help, yet the faraway look in her eyes shows that she's already broken free from reality. Many think Edvard Munch managed to transfer his emotional anguish into the painting and gave it life. Previous owners of the painting say that the girl's piercing blue eyes will follow them as they move. If it's quite enough, they also claim to be able to hear the rustle of the mother's sheets. Number 4. Love Letters. There's an old hotel in Texas with a lot of strange happenings. It's said to be haunted by multiple ghosts. First, there's the ghost of the original owner, who fills the halls with the smell of his cigar smoke. Next, there's the spirits of two brides who, despite never knowing each other, each committed suicide in the same room while on honeymoon. Lastly, there's Samantha Houston, a 4-year-old girl who lives inside of a self-portrait called Love Letters. It all started in 1887 when a Texas senator stayed at the Driskill Hotel while on official state business. He brought with him his adorable daughter Samantha, and he let her play by herself while he was away. She managed to fall down a large flight of stairs to her death while chasing after a ball one day. 7 days later, visitors would see her bouncing the same ball in the lobby. She could also be heard giggling near the ladies' room as well as by the stairs where she died. The paranormal sightings of Samantha Houston don't end there. Shortly after the tragic accident, her wealthy father hired a painter to commemorate her death with a grand portrait. It seems as if her spirit transferred itself inside of the canvas shortly after it was hung on the wall. In the picture, she holds flowers and looks innocent. But if you stare for long enough, hotel staff and guests say that the expressions change. Oftentimes her mouth widens into a full smile, but she doesn't always seem to be in such a good mood. Some visitors say that the picture makes them feel violated and nauseous. Sometimes they even feel like they are being lifted into the air, not unlike the sensation of falling. Likewise, when Samantha feels like playing a joke, she will shake the door handles of the Yellow Rose Suite that's located next to her painting to let people know she is there. Number 3. Pogo the Clown. John Wayne Gacy was a depraved serial killer who murdered over 30 young men throughout the 1970s. He would usually invite them over to his house and tell them that he wanted to show them a magic trick using a pair of handcuffs. Since he was a clown with a good standing reputation within the community, most people let him put them in the handcuffs. Next thing they knew, they were being handcuffed to a bed or a chair to be tortured for hours. Gacy would suffocate them slowly after raping them. Sometimes he would kill 2 men a night. When he was convicted and thrown in prison, Gacy began painting. There is a lot of people out there who collect memorabilia from murderers, and therefore a lot of money to be made. In 2001, a man named Nicky Stone bought a portrait of Gacy for $3,000. It was signed by his alter ego, Pogo the Clown. Shortly after Nicky Stone bought the painting, he noticed a string of bad luck followed him. First, his dog suddenly died, and then his mother discovered that she had cancer. Nicky Stone was a superstitious person and gladly let a friend keep the painting at their house for a while. While they were hanging on to it, their close neighbor died in a car crash. When a second friend took a hold of the painting, they attempted suicide. Even Hollywood isn't safe from the serial killer's cursed art. Famous actor Johnny Depp once bought a John Wayne Gacy painting from a tattoo artist who he knew. When he brought it home, the painting gave off a vibe that disturbed everyone so badly that, as he put it, no one wanted to have anything to do with it. He got rid of the artwork shortly thereafter. Number 2. The Anguished Man. Sean Robinson inherited the Anguished Man from his grandmother after she died, though why anyone would want it is anyone's guess. In the picture, a mutant-looking figure with a hole for a mouth and boiled skin soundlessly screams against a bright blue background. It's quite haunting to look at, and also apparently quite haunted as well. According to Sean, his grandmother kept the painting locked away in her attic for 25 years. The artist who created it mixed his own blood with the paint. After he finished it, he killed himself. Exactly how his grandmother knew this was beyond Sean's knowledge, but he did know what she claimed to have seen. His grandmother would hear crying and other strange sounds coming from the attic. It sounded like voices from another world. She was also sure that she once saw the spirit of the artist herself. He was a shadowy figure that darted past. It only happened once, but she was convinced that something bad would happen if she got rid of the painting, so she kept it out of fear. She definitely did not want to insult the dead person who created it. If that painting was any indication, then she definitely did not want to get on this creator's bad side. When Sean received the painting, the first thing he tried to do was track down its original owner. He had no such luck. Still, he began to experience the same strange activities that his grandmother spoke of. He heard the same strange crying gurgles and saw a shadowy figure throughout his house. When his son said that a presence pushed him down the stairs, Sean knew that he had to react. He set up a camera and recorded the painting. After checking the footage 8 hours later, Sean is shocked by what he finds. Scraping noises are coming from within the painting itself. He leaves the camera on for another night. When he checks in the morning, he finds that at 4 in the morning, the door to the right of the painting slams shut while everyone is sleeping. Sean leaves the camera on for 5 more days, and each night something stranger than the previous night happens. Banging noises, moaning, and other disturbances are all recorded. At one point, Sean's wife says she felt something touch her hair in the bathroom. That night, he saw a roaming mist at the top of his stairs. Then, on the last night, Sean finally records a white figure sprinting across the room. Terrified, he uploads the whole thing on YouTube for the world to see. Now that he is expecting a child, he decided to put the painting into a storage unit for safekeeping. Maybe his son will inherit it when he grows old enough to accept the cursed family heirloom. Number 1. Ivan the Terrible kills his son. Ivan the Terrible was a Russian czar who beat his son to death after he tried to protect his own wife. A famous artist named Ilya Repin recaptured the moment in his painting called Ivan the Terrible Kills His Son, which shows the crazed leader cradling his son while staring straight ahead with a crazed look. When the painting was first unveiled at the Tretyakov Gallery, it caused the crowd to go into hysterics. Some people wept, some went into a coma-like state, and others became murderously angry. It evoked such a strong reaction that it was as if the painting had been possessed by Ivan's son himself. In 1913, a fellow painter named Abram Beshalov took one look at the painting and went insane. He took out a pocket knife and slashed the painting 3 times while shouting, "Stop the bloodshed." What he could have been seeing is anyone's guess. He was slicing directly into Ivan's staring face while he screamed. Abram was taken away to a mental institution and never let out. Many say that he was crazy to begin with, but many others say that the man was of sound mind on the day until he saw Ivan's eyes staring back at him. The painting's creator was getting older at this point, but he wanted to prove that he still had his talents. Ilya Repin calmly repainted the slashed face into its former horrifying expression. It has been restored since and continues to haunt spectators to this day. Before you go, I wanted to tell you about the giveaway I'm hosting. But first off, thanks for watching and leave a like so I know you made it to the end of the video. Don't forget to subscribe because I upload new videos every week. My name is Chills and I'm thanking you all for your support by giving away 3 $100 Amazon.com gift cards. It's completely free to enter and you can enter the giveaway by visiting the link at the very bottom of the description. It doesn't matter when you're watching this video because top15s.net/giveaway will automatically direct you to my most recent giveaway. See the terms and conditions on the linked page for full details. If you want to follow me on social media, my Twitter is at YT_chills and my Instagram is at DylanIsChillinYT with underscores instead of spaces. Feel free to send me a DM if you have any questions or suggestions. See ya.